Are beating, guys. The warmongers, the neocons who have infiltrated and slithered their way within this administration are beating the war drums. They want destruction. They want war. They want missiles. They want rockets. They want tanks. They want anything they can get their hands on to destroy nations, as they always have for years and years and years. Google and YouTube have shut down all of the Syrian government accounts on YouTube. They shut down all their channels. So this points to a big collusion happening, and I'm going to explain why. ISIS has controlled most of Syria for a very, very, very long time. Al-Qaeda has controlled most of Syria for a very, very, very long time. Assad has eradicated ISIS from most of Syria. He's set Damascus free. He set many places in Syria free with the help of the Russian government. He's completely liberated Syria except for one province, and that is the Idlib province. You've probably been hearing that a lot in the media. You've probably been hearing it come out of Nikki Haley's mouth over and over and over again. I suggest to you that all of you, link in the description of this YouTube video, go check out the YouTube video that I did. I interviewed an OAN, One American News Network journalist who was in Syria, and you look at what he had to say. This just further proves this case. Now, Assad is protecting Christians. Syria is pretty much a very westernized country, very kind of, there's a lot of like hipsters in Damascus. There's a lot of hipsters in a lot of different cities in Syria. They're very westernized, and they're protecting Christians. They're the only ones that are protecting Christians in this particular region. They have protected historical churches and all sorts of different things, chapels that date back thousands upon thousands of years, and protected their Christian community in Syria from ISIS and Al-Qaeda over and over and over again. It would make zero sense. You have to be an idiot to think that Assad would use chemical gas attack weapons on his own people when he has been trying to get rid of ISIS, get rid of Al-Qaeda, and has liberated his entire country except for the Idlib province. Now, Ron Paul is talking about this. Heck, even Rand Paul has tweeted about this. Tucker Carlson has said, don't believe the rest of the media. Don't even believe my own news station. Assad did not gas his own people. WikiLeaks has talked about it. You believe in WikiLeaks. You guys all loved WikiLeaks if you voted for Trump. Michael Savage, who shouldn't be supporting, who should be for the overthrow of Syria based on his lineage, but he's talking about it. He's talking out against this, and he's saying, Trump, listen to me. I have a radio show with millions upon millions of people. Listen to me. These people, these infiltrators within your government are trying to push you into war for their corporate media and their donors and everyone who funds this particular narrative and everyone who funds this particular agenda. Tucker Carlson questioned Bolton just a few months ago about not only the gas attack in Syria, but why he would want to bomb Iran. And here's what John Bolton had to say. Now, John Bolton, before I show this clip to you, he has talked about we need to take care of Iran, we need to take care of this particular sect of Islam, the Shiites. The Shiites haven't attacked America, but the Sunnis have. The Wahhabists have. So basically what Tucker Carlson says is, why are you so adamant about bombing exactly Iran? What Michael Savage said on his 9/11 podcast. Now, a lot of the stuff is just a boomer speak, and a lot of the stuff you just have to kind of shrug off and get to the meat of the meat and the bones of what Michael Savage said on his 9/11 2018 podcast just the other day, and you have to listen to what he says, because what John Bolton says there, even Michael Savage, a Jewish person, is saying. Take a listen to that clip now.
Oh, Syria, big story. Yeah, the guns of war, they're getting them ready. After all, the election's just around the corner, and the old walrus there is now front and center. Last year at the Mar-a-Lago, he couldn't even get the leftover meatballs at the leftover trays. Now, oh, yeah, wants war with Syria, wants war with Russia. It's really odd, but this guy Bolton and his team has already declared that should poison gas be used in Syria, they know that Assad did it. Again, I'll try to use logic, which has gone from the American scene. Let's see now. They've beaten ISIS out of every corner of Syria except one. ISIS has withdrawn to their last stronghold. Russia wants them wiped off the map. Syria wants them wiped off the map. That's ISIS. Remember, you hated them a few months ago? Well, since Bolton came along, he was brought in just for the job. Bolton was brought in by the neocon brigades. He's a member in good standing of the New World Order. Bolton is the one who gave us the Iraq War by lying about weapons of mass destruction. John Bolton is not the innocent. John Bolton was plucked out of Nowhereville in order to be the propagandist of the New World Order, while you think that he's a member of cleaning the swamp. He actually is the swamp, in my estimation. Why don't we just get out of there and let Russia and Iran take over Syria and wipe out the terrorists? Well, there's a clear geopolitical answer to that, and I'm not Hank Kissinger. I don't go to discotheques. Oh, no, I'm not old Hank. I'm not just slipping around on the old dance floor here. No, there's a reason we don't get out of Syria and let Russia and Iran move in with Hezbollah, and that's Israel. You could say, well, okay, then we should be there. Well, I'm not so sure. Are we going to, for the rest of the life of America, be Israel's protector? I'm an America firster, to be honest with you. I was long before Donald Trump ran for office. And I've said the same thing before Donald Trump was even mentioned on the radio shows. America first, not last. And we can't wag the dog for any nation on earth, including Israel.
Now, at this point, Trump would not be calling for Jeff Sessions or calling for anyone to go and probe the New York Times if he didn't think that New York Times op-ed was real. And I covered that as well in another video, link in the description. You guys can find that on my channel. Trump would not be trying to probe the New York Times to find out who that op-ed writer was if it wasn't real. Trump has been completely shut out of his own government by people. He's been completely shut out. People have said he's been completely prevented from seeing national security information, from seeing many different things, from having access to information within his own presidency. He's the president of the United States, and the CIA, the FBI, and these neocons and these neoliberals and all of these different warmongers, all of these the swamp, as you would call them, have shut him out from his own government. This is what top officials are saying secretly. Now, this op-ed writer, what did they say in their article? Right? They said, he's a moron. We are the adults in the room. We are leading his policy in the right direction. If we can't use the 25th Amendment to get him out, the CIA has tried to perform a coup, or is still trying to perform a coup against him. The FBI is trying to perform a coup against him. The corporate media is trying to perform a coup against him and colluding with Google to try to push him into war. You guys have to understand this, okay? You have to get this through your skulls and through your heads, and completely disregard what even media channels that you trust who are pushing this narrative of Assad is a bad guy, and it's just all the different sects of Islam are the same. No, you have a particular sect of Islam, Wahhabis, who's using the Salafist, who you have to pay attention to a lot of different things here. Now, here's a video of Nikki Haley saying that no matter what, if there is a future gas attack or a gas attack yesterday, we know it's Assad, and we will be locked and loaded to destroy and overthrow Syria.
If there are chemical weapons that are used, we know exactly who's going to use them. And this is the exact same playbook that Russia and Iran and Assad have used every time.
Now here's Brett McGurk, a U.S. State Department employee, a while back admitting that Al-Qaeda and ISIS own and control the Idlib province. Yes, there are some citizens there. Yes, they could be hurt by bombing Idlib province or whatever the case may be. They could be hurt, but it's owned and controlled by Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and the people are living under Islamic radical control.
Look, Idlib province is the largest Al-Qaeda safe haven since 9/11.
We consider any assault on Idlib to be a dangerous escalation of the conflict in Syria.
And Idlib now is a huge problem. It is an Al-Qaeda safe haven right on the border of Turkey.
Now an offensive against Idlib is starting, despite the clear warnings of the President of the United States and other world leaders. Airstrikes by Russia and the regime have already begun against
Al-Qaeda in Idlib province, leaders of Al-Qaeda that make their way to Idlib province.
They want to punish the civilians who had the courage to rise up against Assad.
دمرنا أمريكا طيارة مدنية خذ التجارة غداك وما ترابية قائدنا بالله يمري بأمريكا بقوة الإيمان وسلاحنا البيكا.
If Assad, Russia, and Iran continue, the consequences will be dire.
Now, here's a Syrian UN official. Here's a clip from a Syrian UN official at a UN meeting saying that the U.S. and Europe are supporting terrorists. Now, if you've watched, for instance, the recent movie that came out with Tom Cruise called American Made, it was about the Iran-Contra it was about that whole CIA operation where one particular part of the government didn't know what the other part of the government was doing, and it's a true story. It's based on a true story. It's based on leaked evidence and leaked documents and witnesses. We've seen the Operation Northwoods, which was declassified a while ago. We've seen all these different operations where the government, for instance, is using rebels, to using Salafist, using all these different types of groups to push their own gain, or to increase security for Israel. Even Michael Savage admits, who's Jewish, that most of these Middle Eastern wars are for Israel. Even John Bolton said it in that clip that I showed you earlier. But here's a clip of a Syrian UN official saying that the U.S. and Europe are supporting Al-Qaeda and ISIS and not letting them take them out. And look at Nikki Haley's face when he says this.
Defending terrorist groups operating in Idlib and the surroundings is a desperate attempt to protect those groups, to prolong their expiry date, to recycle them and turn them into highly moderate armed groups in the other groups. Tomorrow we will see them operating in Yemen, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Nigeria. We'll see them operating there.
Now, boomers, baby boomers, most of you guys, I'm not going to group all of you in because I know I have a very kind of sizable portion of baby boomers who watch this particular channel and who are subscribed to this YouTube channel, but they just don't get it. I posted an article the other day on my Facebook page, which is just completely overrun and infested with baby boomers who are just, oh, I support Nikki Haley. She's a strong woman, mostly women who haven't researched or haven't become politically knowledgeable enough to understand exactly what's going on. They said, oh, I'm unfollowing you. So never mind that they unfollowed me for one particular thing that they disagreed on, which is fine. The page has over 387,000 followers or something like that. But no matter that they just disagreed with one particular thing and unfollowed, this is your typical boomer crowd. But they didn't even click on the article. They didn't even read it. They didn't even actually open their mind enough, expand their small brain enough to actually hear a different opinion. Oh, man, Nikki Haley, man. Oh, John Bolton, he's great. He looks like a walrus, but I love the guy. Who cares if he wants to overthrow regimes? Who cares if he wants to bomb multiple countries, especially North Korea, which is the only country that has a chance to actually attach a miniaturized warhead under the nose cone of an ICBM and reach Hawaii or Alaska? Never mind any of that. They're so closed-minded that they unfollowed, they messaged me angry messages, that hundreds of these people. I'm like, are you neocons? How many neocons do we have following this page? How many small-minded baby boomers do we have following this page? And this is what they said to me. They said, oh, but Assad has WMDs.